I forgot to say I love the balloons. Thank you. Thank you, gosh golly. It's the Kristy and
Okay,
Kristy
I
show.
think it is.
Mama. You're so funny, Mama. Oh, I forgot to do ads. Here, wait, let me force ads for a minute and a half. And then, um, there you go. I think a lot of people are subscribed, but
Okay, I'm also figuring out the ads thing too right now.
cool.
Okay, I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
I am. I'm so very excited. So I went on Amazon and I saw that it was up and I knew yesterday on your or the other day on your stream you were like, I think it's gonna be there. I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be there. And so I know a lot of people in the writing community are just starting out. So what was that process like for you with Amazon and trying to get your book prepared?
It I was very alone in the process, so as things go, I was just learning as I went along. So KDP is pretty user friendly. There's a lot of information there. So if you have a designer creating your book, there's a place where you can go to you can put in like how many pages is your book and what size is your book, and it'll give you a template of what the book size should be for your designer. And like it's actually really packed with information for you, and it's really easy to find that information. As far as the manuscript went, I found that a little bit tricky to format. It didn't paste easily from one Word document to the other. So you can download sample templates, which is really handy. But then when I pasted the Heiress of Sole in, it wasn't like indenting. So I had to go through the entire manuscript and make sure everything was indented and just make sure everything was spaced properly. It also didn't bring over italics, which so I had to go through and make sure all the italics were there, things like that. So I did find that a little bit tricky, and maybe I just didn't do something properly. Maybe I didn't press the right paste button. I don't know, but I the formatting part was the hardest part, but other than that, KDP is I found really easy to work with, and I got all the information I needed. The only thing I did know now that I didn't know before is that between the deadline of having the manuscript in and everything together and launch date, which is a week, you can't order author copies. So I was like,
Okay.
shoot, my copies are going to come late. So I uploaded my manuscript at like the 11th hour. Literally, I think I had like 3 hours left before the deadline, and I'm still fixing things. And so I did that, and I'm like, okay, take a break. I'll order my author copies in the morning. And then I went on, and it's like, no, you can't. So hindsight 2020, next time order your author copies way ahead of time. Make sure your manuscript is the way you want it way ahead of time, and it'll work better for you. That's all I got.
No, I definitely appreciate the tips, and we'll be circling back to like author tips because that's something that I think is so fun to share with the Twitch community. Um, and so keeping that in mind and potential resources that you use to kind of help prepare you for the book. One thing that I'm really curious of is who is Kristy in real life? who's Kristy Lee in real life? Like, tell me about her. What does she do? I know she has an amazing dog that I absolutely love seeing on camera. But so tell me a little bit about her and her journey, and then why she's decided that this is something she wants to do.
Um, okay. I feel like the Christy that you see on stream is the Christy you get in real life. I'm sorry. The only difference is you don't see the mom side, you don't see the office professional side of me. So in real life, I work full time, 9 to 5, as in an HR firm, and I'm kind of like transitioning into sort of like an IT person there, which is kind of weird. But yeah, so that's my real life. I am a mom, a wife. I am a very busy person in real life, and on stream days, this is my downtime. This is my me time, my relaxed time, spending time with you on Twitch, doing the writing thing. Yeah.
So I feel like IT, or well, okay, I feel like IT and your current job is very can be very analytical. And I'm also in IT, which I find hilarious.
Okay.
So you're going from a very analytical thing to a very creative thing. What do you think draws you from that analytical mind to then going to that more creative side of yourself?
I've always kind of been like that. I've always been a fan of numbers, and I mean, like I got my bookkeeper certificate because I like numbers. I like when numbers balance and things like that. I've always had an analytical brain, but I've also always had a creative brain. I've always been one to write or draw, color, just anything creative, crochet. So that's just always been who I was. I grew up loving to read, and I started writing at a, I don't know, I started writing stories about me and my friends' adventures, pretend adventures, when I was about 12. So I maybe the analytical thing came a little bit later, but I've always had a love for creativity. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I find that a lot of us tend to start young when it comes to writing stories. And so that kind of moves me on to the Heiress of Soul. And obviously,
Thank
congratulations on
you.
your book launch. I'm so excited for you. And thank you so very much for allowing me to share just a small part of your day with you while you're doing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, so with this book in particular, because I know you're already working on others, but with this book in particular, is this something that you knew when you were like a little kid, like you had this story in mind, or was this something that has grown on you as an adult and you started working on it?
So the Heiress of Soul has its own story. I used to work at a booth in front of Sears, one that like cuts keys and engraves flasks and has singing bears sitting on the counter. And it wasn't very busy. So one day I brought in a binder filled with line paper and just started writing. It started off as an Inuyasha fan fiction, and I wrote it in pencil. I don't know where this binder is, but I've been trying to find it for like a year. It's here somewhere. But yeah, so it's just probably a lead mess inside now, but the the binder, it's black and it says the other world on the front. And that was the start of the Heiress of Soul. And like the names were different, the story was completely different, but the general similarity was this girl found a portal and she ended up in another world where she met, I think Bo and Andy have always been the names. But yeah, they always had like this little like romantic subplot. And yeah, so that pretty much stayed the same. But yeah, that was when I was about 17 it started. when I don't know, every couple of years I would go back to the story and try and finish it. It wasn't until 2018 that I actually wrote an ending to it. But then I stopped writing for a few years, got married, had a family, and when I went back to it, I that was when I decided that I was going to publish it, and that's when I started my Twitch account. So it all Twitch is the reason that the Heiress of Soul is here today, really.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That like having this platform of authors and getting to share with one another is so I feel like there's not another experience like it because I often hear from other authors that writing is a lonely experience. And I've not felt that as much, and it's definitely because of Twitch. So I know Twitch chat probably wants to hear more about themselves, but I promise I will get back to that because my main focus on it is the book and I want to know why this story in particular was like the story that you've been working on for a while and why this is a story that you had to write.
That's a great question. I'm not sure. All of my stories, I was thinking about this. I was driving in my car yesterday thinking about this question, like, why this story and why all the other stories? And I think all of my stories have to do with the protagonist being lost and not exactly knowing where they fit in the world. And that's pretty much the main theme of all of my stories. So I think this story was important because for a really long time I felt lost. I didn't know who I was or where I fit. And I think a lot of people can relate to that feeling where you can't figure out what you want to be when you grow up and you don't know where you're going to be in a year, 3 years, 5 years because you just don't know where you fit. And like I can confidently say right now that I can see myself still doing this next year. I will be writing for a really long time. Like I feel like I found my people through writing and I found my place in the writing community. But that wasn't the case when I was writing The Heiress of Sole. And it wasn't exactly the case when I was writing some of my other works as well. So I think it's really powerful to show how somebody who doesn't fit in managed to somehow find their place in the world and find that balance.
That's I always love different themes in people's books. I've often heard people say authors will write the same story multiple times just with different characters and different settings, but the themes are the same because that's what really speaks to us is certain themes.
Right.
So I know that you said that you specifically focused on a character who felt lost in the world. Um, Throughout this process, you also mentioned like kind of also finding your own place, which I think is a really special thing to say. Do you tend to when you're writing, I know this book is a fantasy kind of portal fantasy type book. Is this the genre that speaks to you, or is there other genres that you're kind of interested in investigating and dabbling in?
This genre absolutely does not speak to me. It did. It did when I was 17. It did when I was feeling that loneliness of not finding my place and fantasy is a great way to escape to a different world. But as I grew older, I found writing fantasy incredibly frustrating. Trying to keep track of magic systems and just like all of the things that are completely different between writing a fantasy and writing a contemporary. But like the stalactites hung like chandeliers. Oh yeah, there's no chandeliers in this world, so I can't grade that. Oh, let's take the driver's seat. Oh, we can't take the driver's seat because there's no cars. So it was just like trying to write things sometimes felt frustrating, just because I'm like, oh yeah, this world doesn't have anything, anything fun. And yeah, writing fantasy isn't really my like. When you read the Heiress of Soul, you'll see that there isn't a ton of fantasy in it. There is, but there isn't a. It's not like a deep dive into magic systems or anything like that. But from now on, I am focusing mostly on contemporary romances. So I'm still keeping that romance aspect, but it's now they have cell phones.
That's amazing. I'm a big fan of Brandon Sanderson, and one of the things that Brandon says is in his books. This has been translated to like today's verbiage or wording, because he talks about, can I say that they sat on an ottoman if the Ottoman Empire never existed in their
Exactly.
world. And so he's like I just removed that stress from me and kind of threw that out. But I could see for a reader reading that prose and being like, well, they don't have cars or they don't have chandeliers, like you said, and almost kind of taking them out of the story a little bit
Exactly.
reading that.
Exactly.
So the potential switch is going to be to contemporary romance, and I kind of want to know a little bit about your female protagonist in this book, and I want to make sure I get her name right. Can you pronounce it for me?
Andrea Galdolin.
Andrea and Golgolin?
Galdolin.
Galdolin. Okay,
I have
thank
no
you.
idea
I
where this name
appreciate
came
that.
from. I just kind of made up the last name during my last draft that I made. I don't know where it came from.
Okay.
It just was like a
Okay.
gibberish name I just spewed out of my mouth one day.
No, that's very funny. I almost recorded myself saying the name and sending it to you just to make sure I had it right. So, okay, so tell me a little bit about Andrea and where she kind of fits in with this story and what's going on within her life.
So Andrea is I picture her being around 22 or 21. It's not actually stated in the book. She is mourning her father's death. There's a lot of things that she didn't know about her dad, especially when he was younger. And so she just she feels lost without him, and there's our lost theme. Uh, they they had a daddy daughter relationship, and now he's gone. So now what do I do? And she tried her best to find a way to kind of keep him in her life a little bit. He passed away from cancer, and so she was volunteering to spend time with cancer patients while they were doing their treatments. And that was her way of trying to make things better. What it only essentially all it did was make her feel worse. It made her constantly miss her dad, and she never really progressed anywhere. She just was at a standstill. So, Andrea and all of my characters are very strong females. They are a little bit stubborn, and they don't like being told what to do. I can maybe relate to that a little bit. But so when she has a little bit of like a vision that sends her to this valley that her dad always took them to, her and her mom, just have picnics and just spend time there. And so she goes there, and there's a portal, and she like deep in her gut knows that this is her dad telling her, like, if she goes through this portal, he will be there. So yeah, she steps through, and so she when she learns, this is like not necessarily a spoiler, but when she learns that she is the heir to this dynasty in this other realm that she's gone to, she now needs to make this decision of what would my dad want me to do? What would my dad do? And that's kind of the ongoing message throughout the entire book is what would my dad want me to do? What would my dad do in this situation? So she just sort of has to toughen up in scary situations and keep going. And yeah, that's Andy in a box, I guess. Is she's just this strong character that's trying to do something to make her father proud.
Wow. I I couldn't imagine for that character going through such a loss and then kind of get thrusted into this new world. It's a lot of big changes all at once for
Mm-hmm.
her. And also trying to live up to the expectations of family members, which I think we all probably try to do sometimes, if not our family members, our own expectations of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
For Andy, what is obviously all of our characters kind of go through a transformation. I feel like that's really what the story is about. For your readers, what's kind of the takeaway that you want them to have from either Andy's transformation or from just reading your book in general?
I think the message that I want to convey would be that you can. That you can. Whatever it is that you want to do and you want to accomplish, you can. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard. It's going to be trying. It's going to test you. But at the end of the day, you can. That's it.
What a great message. What a great message for this entire community of people that have goals and aspirations of writing a book or putting pen to paper and creating their own stories. It's a daunting task.
Yes.
It really is. And I love that message, and I love that encouragement for the entire Twitch community. um, for you, I know that you have been streaming for, is it 2, 3 years now?
Oh no. It's been a year and a half almost.
Year and a half. Okay.
Yeah. I got affiliated. I started streaming in September of 2023 and affiliated in November of 2023. So, yeah, it hasn't been too crazy long, but I appreciate that it feels like it's been longer, that I convey that I'm more experienced than I am.
My stream can be a hot disaster at some times, as we saw when we did the knocking.
Yeah. It's all good.
And so when it comes to your Twitch community, when it comes to your chat, people are, I love seeing how invested chat is with you and how communicative they are. Has your streaming influenced your writing? Has chat influenced your writing? What's been your takeaways kind of just being on Twitch?
I wouldn't be here talking to you, obviously, but without Twitch.
Yeah.
Um, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have a book. I owe everything to the Badgers. Like they they have kept me accountable. I have, besides getting pneumonia in November and having to cancel a bunch of streams, I am here every Tuesday and Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, like clockwork. I don't miss a stream because I don't want to I don't want to I guess I don't want to miss out. I and but also I feel a sense of accountability that I need to be here, whether it's me writing or just doing something productive during those writing sprints. It keeps me accountable like for 2 days every week at least. So yeah, it's because of the viewers and because of Twitch as a platform that I have books coming out. Period.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know people will say, like, you should set time aside to just sit down and write and do that. And that's how you get words right. And I too found that, like, sitting down on Twitch, holding me accountable, holding, Twitch Cat holding me accountable is a game changer when it
Yeah.
comes to my own writing. Um, I have to know, I want to hear, how did you get the idea to either a, like, find the writing community on Twitch, or search it. Like, what was your first introduction to the Twitch writing community, or even like Twitch in general?
So I used to have a writing community, like a writing group in the town that I used to live in. I started it, and it grew to about 10 people meeting every week at a board game cafe, and we would all bring our laptops and we would write together, talk, do sprints, things like that. And then I moved,
I'm so
and
jealous of that, by the
right,
way.
it was actually like so great. It was great to meet writers in person, and have a beer and write, and it was amazing. And then we did NaNoWriMo together. Yeah, it was fun. But I moved, so I was, and then that was just after COVID too. I believe it was 2021, and no one was seeing each other. Not unless you were double vaxxed and all this stuff. And so it was really hard to find a writing community in my new city. And so I was on Twitter. I've been on Twitter for years, and I saw Rose Reverie, I believe her name is on Twitch. But she advertised that she was streaming on Twitch and like come join her for writing sprints. And so I clicked on it and I joined Twitch and I was watching her and I was like, wow, this is really cool. I could do this. I could do this. And I'm pretty sure within the week I had set up a Twitch account. I had figured out all of the tech stuff, and I made I didn't have a curtain back here. It was awful. It was just an awful setup. But I had a couch and no books. It was like it was bad. But people showed up. Some of my favorite people that still show up today, like Glaurung and Gosh Golly Bee. I'm trying to think of who else. I think my husband was my first follower. But
Of course.
but yeah, that's how it started. I was just like, I can do this. And I just tried.
I love hearing people's like their stories of like getting in, of course.
Yeah.
Because like I've told, other authors, we exist out in the real world, but I've told other authors that, I do this, and I've met other authors, and the community's been extremely welcoming, and they just look at me like, what?
You do what?
And
And they were like
yeah,
really
you do what?
condescending about it. They're like, "Oh, like your little stream thing," and you're like, "No, what?" This is a big deal.
I think the most common question I get is, so people watch you just write. Like, they just watch you. And I'm like, yeah, that's a thing. It's like co-working.
And in their
This is a
defense, it
thing.
does sound super boring. Like it does not sound interesting at all. But it's like, no, I have to be entertaining too. I have to entertain them while I do it.
That's definitely what sets you apart with your stream, because when I'm doing it, I'm like literally just head down 50 minutes straight co-working,
Meanwhile, I'm in like a
maybe
rainbow
5, 10
zebra
minutes.
onesie, like dancing to
Yeah.
Purple Hat.
So when I first started on Twitch, I really started because I'm a huge esports nerd, and I'm just a huge like fangirl of things. And so I know that, you said your book started as almost like fan service to yourself. So can you talk a little bit about that, and like how you went from writing kind of like something that you created for yourself, and it was like a fan story, and then it kind of molded into this new thing?
I don't really know how it happened. I guess it started off with Inuyasha fan fiction, and then I was like, oh, but it would be cool
Can
if
you
this
explain what that
happened.
is, just for the
Oh,
people that don't
Inuyasha
know?
is an anime, a very popular
Okay.
anime. I don't know if it's on any streaming anymore, but it's quite old now. There's a lot of episodes, but essentially it's about a girl who goes through a portal and she meets a guy and they do quests together. That's essentially like the simple version of it. And that's sort of how it started with my fan fiction. And then I'm like, oh, but it'd be cool if this happened, and it'd be cool if that happened, and maybe
Mm,
this person's different. And so it just kind of ends up changing as I kept going through drafts. I kept changing things and changing things until it was its own completely different thing.
yeah.
And at one point, like in my fan fiction, Bo died like very early on, and there was no Bo for like a great duration of the book. And then he comes back, and it's very soap opera-y. But yeah, so obviously that doesn't happen in this book, but it's just crazy how things just change. Exclamation mark! How things changed drastically from the fan fiction to what it is today.
Yeah, that's super cool. I love that. So for Andy, is she similar to the main character in the anime, or has she just really sprung off and become her own person at this point?
I don't think Andy was ever part of like any. She wasn't really like the character. Kagome is her name. I created Andy as like me but cooler, as we do with our protagonists. It's like, oh, I this is the character that I would like to be. And she was just like this strong, no bullshit, like don't tell me what to do, say it like it is, like she's not introverted at all. So she's just basically the Kristy that 17-year-old me wished she could be, and yeah, she still is. She still is.
I can't tell you how much that resonates.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of ridiculous. That very much hits home. Do you feel like from kind of like writing this character and exploring her character arc, has it made any impact on you as an individual?
I think all of my protagonists have had some sort of influence on me. I call my writing therapy pieces because I tend to put things that, bother me or internally. And that character goes through the thing, but then they come out the other side. So I'm like, okay, well, if my character can do that and I created the character, hypothetically, that should mean that I can get over this thing too.
Yeah.
Right? Like
That's pretty beautiful.
my future pieces hit a lot on different types of mental illness. So one of them goes through depression, one of them goes through verbal abuse, one of them goes through anxiety, one goes through child neglect, I guess we can call it. So they all go through like something that makes them who they are, and they get through it.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I think it's just all my characters try and give hope that you can get through it too.
Yeah, that's I've heard a lot of creatives say that like their pieces are therapy pieces to themselves.
Yeah.
And I was watching a long time ago. I was watching an interview. I think it was with Taylor Swift, and she said that, and she's like, I have a lot to write about because I'm doing a lot of self therapy, and I'm like, well, you made a lot of songs that way.
Yeah. Yep. I have like
So when
11
it
books
comes
coming
to
down the line. Like there's 11 of them. I'm like, I don't know how this happened, but hey.
I I mean that's really cool. I definitely find I'm not short of ideas as an author, and it sounds like you're not short of ideas. It's more time for me, right?
Right?
I'm not short of ideas. I'm short on time.
Yeah.
So for you, do you struggle at all with ideas? Do you struggle with writer's block? And if so, how do you get through it? And if you don't, do you have any advice for like Twitch chat on what they could do to get over their own?
Uh, I don't feel like I necessarily get writer's block. I like see squirrels and it just distracts me. Um,
The
I
plot bunnies.
the well, yeah, like so Twitch has definitely helped with keeping me more focused. So I don't want to keep hopping from project to project every week. So on Tuesday, I'm working on Delivered with Love, and on Thursday, I'm working on the Heiress of Sole. And then, so I try and like keep it consistent when I'm streaming, but I generally go where my muse takes me, and my husband can absolutely agree with me on this one, where I'm like, book idea. And then I'll go to my laptop and I'll be gone for like a weekend, just working on that. And then I'll be obsessed with it for about a couple of weeks, and then I'm like, okay, I got all my ideas out of my brain. And I think my biggest fear as a writer is running out of ideas. So when I get it, I'm like, I have to work on it now and get all the ideas out,
Yeah.
and then I can relax and go back to whatever it was. But yeah, Twitch definitely keeps me accountable as far as I want to get the stuff out there. So what do I need to do next? So the Heiress of Soul, okay, it's out. So what do I have to do next? Delivered with Love needs to come in front of me, and I need to do this for a bit on stream. I can work on my other projects off stream, but this is really what I should be working on. This is what people should be seeing from me. Despite the fact that I really want to work on this other project that's over here, I will be focused for Twitch at least.
Yeah. So when that muse strikes you, because I just to be completely upfront, chat, I did share some of the questions with Kristy that I wanted to ask, and my most excited question is, and it's probably related to me. It's really selfish, but my most excited question to ask Kristy was, is there a scene in your book that like stood out in your mind that propelled you? I have to write this, because I will tell you, hearing what you just said there, and you're like, I get this idea, it strikes me, that muse hits, and I have to sit down and I have to write. I want to know, did you have that with this book? And if so, like, can you, without spoilers, obviously, kind of talk about that scene if you have it?
Um, I think with the Heiress of Soul, because I've been writing it for so long, there isn't a particular scene where I was like, yes, this is the scene, this is the one I have to write. And even when I think about it, I can't think of any particular scene that excites me more than other ones. There are so many that I really love. I think what the part of the book that in general that stands out to me the most is it is a dual point of view. So you get the point of view of Andy,
Cool.
but then you also get the point of view of the antagonist's son, Cork. And Cork is my favorite character, and I think that is the first scene with Cork is kind of like, it stands out for me because you go from this Andy, you just go from Andy to this completely different character, and then you're like, wait a minute, who is this person? And then you find out that they're the antagonist's son, and so you're seeing, you're getting a little glimpse from behind enemy lines, I guess we'll say. So I think that's the part that excites me to read. For other works going forward, there have been scenes where I'm like, I have to write this scene, but I have to start at chapter 1 and I have to work my way to that scene. And for instance, one of them in Kaleidoscope. Kaleidoscope is a contemporary romance, childhood friends to lovers. And I knew I wanted this scene where she's upset and then he shows up at her door in a Superman costume or like a superhero costume. It ended up being Captain America. But I knew I wanted this scene because he knew she was upset and he didn't want her to cry and he doesn't know how to make her feel better. But when they were kids, he would just do something stupid and it would make her feel better. So I knew I wanted this scene and I had to have it in the book. So that it's like stuff like that does absolutely happen in my life where I'm like, this is a scene, it's going to happen like halfway through the book. So I need to start at chapter 1 and get started. And that's where my muse is like puts me in overdrive and I have to like focus on this story for 2 weeks and just get to the scene and then I'll be fine. And then I can relax.
Yeah. I definitely, mine's kind of similar, like especially when you've been working on something so long. Like I literally, one of those stories that I've been wanting to tell, I knew it at like 12 years old, but it's just evolved over time. So there wasn't a particular scene, obviously, then that I wanted to write. But now there's like a scene that I'm really, really excited about, right? And I'm like, this is the scene that like I want to get there and I cannot wait until it happens. I know for you, you said that like Andy was really rooted in yourself and you can kind of like resonate with her, but you also said that one of your favorite things is kind of diving into this other voice. Tell me, was that tough for you, like going from Andy's voice to then having to switch to a completely different personality, a completely different person, completely different sex even? Like
Yeah.
how did you find that?
Um, that's a great question. I think I don't know. I don't think anything of changing. I think it's just a different mindset. So I don't know if you have this where you've ever written in a different point of view and your mind just clicks into a different personality. Maybe I'm a
Multiple
psychopath.
personalities.
I don't know. Maybe. But yeah, I think because I know the character so well, it's almost
Mhm.
like it doesn't seem hard. Also, I don't know. I don't know if this has any merit at all, but growing up, I grew up with boys in my life, and so maybe that makes it easier to write in a male POV, just because I kind of grew up with that too. I don't know. Question mark.
Yeah.
My voice is really high. Um, yeah. So for me, it's it's almost like my vision changes. So I'm no longer seeing
Yeah.
the man from the point of view of the protagonist, or the I'm now seeing the woman in the point of view of the man. I don't know. That's just how I see it in my brain. That's just how it clicks.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. I want to ask like a couple more book questions, and then we'll kind of go move on to some like writing advice, which I think will be fun. The One of the book questions that I wanted to ask was, obviously the title is The Heiress of Soul. Your username on everything is Unknown Soul.
Yeah.
Is there any connection there between the two, and
Yeah.
if so, can you dive into that a little bit?
Yeah. So the Heiress of Soul wasn't actually that title until I don't even know if the Heiress of Soul had a title when I was rewriting it in 2023 when I started Twitch. I could not figure out a name for this book, but the country is Seoul. So that was always something that was going to be indefinite. When back in 2017, we're going to go back in time a bit. I decided that I was going to write this book and I was going to publish this book and I was going to be serious about it. And so I started a Twitter account, I started Instagram account, I started all these different accounts, and they were all under Unknown Soul. Unknown being no one knew who I was because I was so new at the writing. Like I didn't know anybody, and then Seoul being the name of the country. Unknown Soul was taken, so it was Unknown Soul 1 on everything. So,
That's
yeah, it was.
I was wondering because I was like, okay, so was Soul picked because like that's the name of this new realm, or or was it because it was already a part of Christie's like stream handle? I was like really interested in like the inspiration of that.
Yeah, and I'm always interested in other people's handles too because you get some really crazy ones on Twitch. Like, where did you come up with this stuff? But yeah, so the Soul is it's the name of the country, and it's basically my username is just no one knows who I am, and this is the book I'm writing, I guess.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. I'm not very creative. It's my name. Like, you know,
I should have probably just made
that's
it my
all it
name.
is.
I probably should have done that. It would have been a lot easier for people to find me, but here we are.
The only thing I was thinking of, because I do have like gamer handles, right? And so when I very first started streaming, I was like, oh, I'll start with my gamer handle. And then I decided, when I really started like streaming in the writing community, I was like, well, I'm not going to release a book under my gamer handle, but like maybe I should switch it. But I think it's quite clever that you've got your Twitch handle and then it like resonates with the title of your book. I think that's really cool, actually.
Yeah. Well, I
The
mean, when people ask like 10 years from now, I'll be like, you can still buy the book. It's still here. Yeah.
so kind of talking about like Twitch and chat, and then also some like writing advice that you have potentially for the community. We already touched base on them holding you accountable of like writing your book, and that's kind of how you got the words. What
Mhm.
are some online resources besides Twitch and Twitch chat that you've used, if you've used any, that you would share, or any resources in general, books that you've used that might help with that have helped with your writing?
So one book I wrote, I wish. Book I read. I can't remember what the author is, but literally you can Google it; it'll come up. It's called "Take Off Your Pants," and it's for pantsers to start out, like to inspire pantsers to outline. Um, oh, hello,
I'm
Writerly.
writing it down right now.
So it's called, yeah, "Take Off Your Pants," and
Okay.
I just loved the title for one. But what I got
Yeah.
back from that, so I am not an outliner at all. Zero outlining is done in my work. I think in my head, oh, she is a nature journalist, chapter one, and just explore. And yeah, so I can 100% say that I am a discovery writer. I don't do any outlining at all, other than maybe writing down some notes on what who the characters are, just so I don't forget their last name or
Mhm.
something. But what I got back from that book was asking questions to get to know your characters better. So
Mhm.
I have a character named John Smith. Who, what, where, why, when, how. Who is John Smith? What does John Smith do? Where does John Smith live? Why is John Smith the main character? And like, so once you get all that information down, break it down even further. So where does John Smith live? He lives in, let's just say, Toronto. He lives in Toronto. Who, what, where, why, when, how. Like, why does he live in Toronto? And when, how long has he lived there? So you get to do a really deep dive of all of your characters, and to the point where
Mhm.
you know their favorite color, you know what they would do in situations. And I think that's the best advice I got from that book, was to just know your characters as if they were real people.
Yeah. That's really, I think, good advice, because I've always been afraid of writing a character. What's the phrase? It's like it's an ocean of information, but like 1 inch deep,
Hmm.
right? And so kind of digging deeper into that character, kind of finding their motivations and who they are and what drives them as a person, and ultimately your story is so important, not only for the progress of the story, but also getting that connection with the reader.
Hmm.
um for Andy, is there a takeaway that like the audience, that like really drives her? I know you said that it was really living up to her father, and like her wanting to do what's right for him. Is would you say that's her main motivation throughout the book?
Um, I would say yes, though she agreed to do something. So they said, hey, you're our heir. You need to go here and lead our army. And she's like, oh, shit. Okay. So she took a solid 5 minutes to think about it and thought, okay, my dad would have done this. My dad would have done this. So yeah, okay, yeah, I'll do it. She's kind of kicking herself throughout the book. Like, why did I agree to do this? Like, this is not something I can do. I am just me. But she grows through this. So although she's having all these thoughts, she still doesn't give up. She doesn't quit because this is what her dad would want. So it's kind of a little bit of both, where she doesn't want to give up because her dad would have done this, but she also doesn't, like, she has a choice and she chooses to keep going. And in doing that, she's learning, she's getting stronger, she's figuring things out on her own, well, with the help of people. But so you do
Yeah.
see, like, despite the fact that her dad is not there to guide her or anything, she's making these choices and she is growing throughout the book.
Very cool. The so I touching base on character arc and kind of seeing that growth. Do you often find I know you said that you're really a pantser when it comes to writing. There's this like really funny quote with Stephen King, and he's like, if I try to plot, I feel like I've written the book, I know it too well, and then I lose interest.
Mm.
So do you find when you're pantsing, how often does that how often does your character change, how often does their arc change, and the plot even
Oh
itself?
gosh, it's so funny. It's such a weird phenomenon when they do that, isn't it? When they when you're going from point A to point B and then your characters are like, it's you, it's your brain,
Oh yeah.
but your characters are like, you know what, I'm gonna go this way and do this thing. And
Yeah.
you're like, wait, where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going? And but I love that too. I do actually really love that. I have a plan in my head, but then my characters kind of veer off a little bit and I'm like, okay, let's see where this goes. And I don't
Hmm.
try and reel it in. I like that's the part of the discovery writing that I love is, okay, this wasn't what I planned, so let's see what happens. And it usually comes out to be something like weird that I'm like, okay, now we got to figure this out and problem solve. Or it turns into like a really nice like scene between friends, or like a first
Yeah.
kiss or something. It ends up being like really cool. So
Yeah. I think that's great advice actually for the community is and I do the exact same thing that you do. I do find that a lot of times people haven't quite found their style yet, right? Like they like the idea of being a pantser or they like the idea of being a plotter, and so they try to fit themselves in that mold. And really, even with plotting, there's a little bit of pantsing in between, right? Because you know your points really well, and you try to make them rigid, but you still kind of have to figure out how to get to from point A to point B. So there's like a tiny bit of pantsing in there, but I do definitely get the idea of you have a character, they have an identity, they have their own motivations, and you say, "Hey, there's this thing over here I need you to eventually get to." And they're just like, no,
yeah.
like I'm gonna get there my own way, which helps me get words honestly because I just let them explore and do their own thing. Whereas I feel like if I really tried to force them against what they would naturally do, that would really put a block into my own writing. And I have one character that I'm a huge Baldur's Gate fan, and I love Asterion, and he's this like vampire character who just is like almost like an anti-hero. And I feel like the more troublesome a character can be, they really kind of do it worse for me. Like they really want to go off and do their own thing because he's kind of a troublesome meddlesome character in general. Do you have a character like that like really tried to pull you away more from where you wanted to go with the story?
Hmm. Um, I know what that may actually be like the definition of cork. My other
Yeah.
POV in the Heiress of Soul. Um, but he comes from a good place.
Yeah.
He I'm trying to think now. So writing Cork, I really wanted him to be more of a troublemaker. However, he really wanted to help. And so there's like this thing where I would be like, no, you have to be kind of like a jerk, but he didn't want to be. I don't know. It's really weird. So he ended up being more of a character than I thought he was going to be, and he ends up being my favorite character.
Yeah.
So I guess in doing that and letting them discover, they end up molding their own characters and their own. I don't know. Is you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it can create
It's
some
funny
great
how like
things.
it's the troublemakers, they become your favorites
But
over
it's funny
time.
because like I'm trying to make him more of a troublemaker. He's like, but I'm really good. And it's like, no, you're not. Think about it.
Oh gosh. All right. Well, what I want to do is we've only got like a couple minutes left, so I want to do some rapid fire
Oh
questions
gosh,
for
okay.
you. So so I did not send these, chat. I did not send these in advance.
I'm not good at improv.
So Kristy has no idea yeah, Kristy has no idea what I'm going to ask.
Okay.
Some of these are going to be controversial, so just so you know, but I'm going to make it as rapid fire as possible. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Controversial questions.
Great.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Okay. Cats or dogs?
Oh, I have a dog. I guess I'll say dog because of Phoebe.
Okay. Favorite writing snack?
Chips. Crackers.
Okay. Favorite literary trope?
Enemies to lovers.
Pineapple on pizza.
Yes.
Morning writer or night owl?
I'm a morning writer, but I'm forced to write at night for Twitch, so I would say morning.
Yeah. Okay. Ebook, hardback, or audio?
Oh, that's a hard one. Oh, that's a hard one. Okay. If I had the choice, I would definitely want a hardcover, but because of time and not having time to read, I'm forced to do audiobook.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
First person or third person?
First.
Okay. Actress for your main character, Andy.
Oh, you did put
Who'd you
this.
pick?
I don't know.
I did share one, sorry.
Yeah, you did share that one, and I thought about it and I couldn't think of an answer. So my coworker actually did give me an actor for Bo, and it was
Okay.
the guy from Sons of Anarchy, Charlie Hunnam, I think his name is.
Okay.
But for Andy, it's so hard. Like, I mean, Zendaya. That's probably the answer for anybody's character.
Zendaya. Platter or pantser?
Oh, Pantser.
Pantser. Favorite author?
Oh, that's a hard one. Oh no. I don't actually think I look at my bookshelf. I don't actually think I have a favorite. I have read all of Danielle Steele and all of Nora Roberts because they're all contemporary romance, but I mean, I just have a lot. I don't have a favorite author. I don't have a particular person that I'm like, this is the author that I absolutely are obsessed with. I like all the authors that are here equally. I don't have a favorite. That's my honest answer.
Fantasy or romantasy?
Oh, romantasy. 100%.
Best piece of writing advice?
This is one I say a lot. Don't worry about word count, especially at draft like 0 or 1. Don't even consider word count. Just write. Just write. That's my advice.
I'm gonna leave it there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're gonna leave it there. I think that's the best advice you can give. So I do want to do a quick plug. So Kristy, can you talk a little bit about the same page?
Oh, the same page. Yes. The same page is a. Oh, here. I have the thing. The same page. So the same page is a writing and reading collective that stages varied events throughout the year. This is just at the top of my head. Focused on bringing the community together to support and encourage others to create and find joy in words. So anybody, writers, readers, voice actors, poets, anybody who loves words, come on by and join the Discord. We just finished Poetry Month in February, which was really successful, and like people shocked me with their words. And then
Poems were so good.
right? I'm like, I didn't know you knew poetry. They're like, neither did I. And then in May we are going to have another October like event called May the Words. So we will have to start planning that one. And and that'll be a big event in May, which is very like 2 months away. Jeez.
I'm looking forward to May the Words.
Yeah. It's going to be fun.
And then so for your own book and then for my chatters, can you talk a little bit about where they can find the title of the book, where they can find it, things like that?
So the Heiress of Sole is available on Amazon for in paperback. So whichever Amazon is yours, .ca, .com, .au, just head on over there. The Heiress of Sole will pop up for you. You guys will be receiving your copies before I receive mine, because mine is going to take another 10 days to get here. But you'll have your copy through Prime, right? So you'll have it by Monday. You can also go to my website, authorkristy.com, and it is a very simple site right now, but luckily my hubby is a web developer, so it'll be impressive in a very short amount of time. So you will find the American and Canadian Amazon sites linked there in the website.
That's awesome. I always feel like, because I'm also, shout out to web developers, because I'm also a web developer.
Nice.
And it's like our own personal websites are just like, what are we doing?
Well, I have no content. So it's like, do you have a book? No.
Yeah.
So it's just like.
And that's exactly my problem too.
So now I do.
Oh,
so we can start really building it out now.
Very cool. And then lastly, any shout outs that you want to give, whether it's for hubby or chat or whoever has helped you write it and had been there for you.
So I have in my acknowledgments, I have like a list, like a solid list of people to thank. I won't read the whole thing, but I will use this as a reference. But my beta readers, like holy crap, thank you so much, beta readers, Jen and Leanne, for making the Heiress of Sole the way it is. Shout out to the Badgers, obviously, for keeping me accountable, and the Heiress of Sole wouldn't be out at all without the Badgers. And of course, my family, hubby, parents, all of them, for tolerating me talking about this book and many others, and having no idea what I'm talking about. So thank you for tolerating me. But also thank you for the support. My parents, I don't have it with me, it's upstairs. My parents came by yesterday and dropped off t-shirts. My dad was wearing his t-shirt that says published author, the Heiress of Sole, Kristy Lee. So he's like, look at mine. He pulls up his sweater and he's wearing his t-shirt, and he gave one to each of us. Yep.
My gosh, that's so awesome. Cute. Please post that on like Instagram or something.
Well, I put my kid's t-shirt on Phoebe and put it on Discord. And
very cute.
She's a very good model. So, yeah.
And what socials can people find you at?
You can
Besides,
find me,
obviously, Twitch.
Obviously. So you can find me at Unknown Soul 1 on Twitter, Instagram, and then I'm Unknown Soul 0 on TikTok because 1 was taken. So
how dare they?
I know. So you can find a bunch of stupid videos of me just doing stupid things on TikTok. Everywhere else, I try to be like a professional, just give like updates on my journey. But TikTok doesn't really like that, so they like the silly videos.
Awesome. And then any final words that you have? Anything that you got?
Oh gosh. Not really, but thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview. taking time out of your weekend. That's awesome. And yeah, thank you everybody else for coming by and, supporting. It's amazing. You guys are amazing. Oh, I do have channel points redeemed. So if you do purchase a book, you can redeem the I bought a copy and it'll make a little celebratory sound. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm pulling up. Let's see here. I had it. I've got it. Where is it? Amazon.
Oh,
Hold
thank
on.
you,
Where are we
Writerly.
at?
You're amazing.
I cannot wait. I'm so excited. I can't wait for my book to get here. And I even like this is my husband's Kindle,
Yeah.
and I was like, listen, I need this because like at first I was gonna buy I wasn't sure if it was like an ebook or a paperback, and I stole his Kindle because I was like, I'm getting it today. Like
Yeah.
let
No,
me
it's
have
only
it.
available on
But
paperback right now. I will make it available for ebook soon. I don't know when.
okay, very cool. Well, thank you so much for having me. And sharing your day with me and putting up with all my fun questions and or maybe not fun. I don't know.
No,
We're
it was fun.
we're all introverts, so
I
I was
know.
like,
This has been
but
completely
seriously, thank you
uncomfortable and
so.
awkward.
No, you were. I had a great time and just thank you for sharing your day with me, for sharing this event not only with your chat, also my chat. I'm really excited, and for those of you guys that haven't purchased yet, definitely I'm like the second I jump off this call, I'm hitting the buy button
Yay.
and can't wait for my copy to arrive. So
Awesome.
thank you guys so much. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. It's been so much fun.
I'm glad. I'm glad. All right, bye guys. I
All
will
right.
see you on the next stream.
All right. And Badgers, if you haven't already, go follow Kristy Hartter on her Twitch page.
Bye guys.
All right. Bye. How fun was that? My goodness. Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. Oh, okay. So I'm sorry. I couldn't really look at chat too much because we were doing a lot of talking. Um, Yay! Thank you, Kristy Harter. So, double Kristy stream. Kristy,